I can't believe I'm saying this, but Andrew, please keep telling us about anime.
Well, I'm going to talk about eco-terrorism.
Got too excited about jorts.
I am leaving now with my Roomba or your blood on my hands.
I'm back on my bullshit.
What is meme if not air horn persevering?
No, this is not a family show.
And I quote, many American titties.
Why'd you have to bring Dane Cook to this, Andrew? No one wanted that.
Oh, you guys are not ready for what I've got today.
And I've apparently hit the very end of my attention span.
Give me like 30 seconds. I'm looking for rhymes. Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comic books, video games, and Elden Ring.
Hey, what if we didn't? It'd be cool.
Literally, only Andrew is playing Elden Ring. So,
TikTok
could not...
is showing me. TikTok's showing me so much it feels like I'm playing Elden Ring.
It's the game I never knew I wanted, or always wanted but never knew. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Elden Ring later.
Is the George R.R. Martin co-authorship?
Yeah,
obvious?
So
can you tell?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
George R.R. Martin made Elden Ring?
I'll give type 30 seconds. So Elden Ring, the latest entry from Software, creator of Dark Souls, yada yada yada. They announced when this game was announced like 4 years ago, and it was saying that Miyazaki, the creator of Dark Souls, Miyazaki was partnering with George R.R. Martin to create a game called Elden Ring. Period. And there was not like another news release that came out that mentioned George R.R. Martin, and it is assumed, maybe I haven't followed it, so I'll publish an errata later. It's either assumed or confirmed that he didn't have much of an involvement he kind of was in the beginning. The writing is it's just Dark Souls but different, but not. So
okay,
yeah, it's just like medieval dark fantasy medieval shit. Dark Souls really cool lore. We'll do that maybe on another episode. But today we are talking about anime, boys. Now we've had the opportunity here to debate this to dive into a lot of anime already on this show. We've piloted giant robots while exploring our crippling abandonment issues with Neon Genesis Evangelion. We've sailed the seas searching for treasure and surrogate father figures with One Piece. And we've journeyed across a war-torn landscape with a spunky group of teenage D&D monks to learn what it truly means to be a family with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, today's episode is going to touch down on literally all of these themes, but through the guise of ninjas fighting zombie vampires.
I don't know where we're going, but I'm in right now.
That's where we're going.
I really like the idea that all the characters from Avatar are D&D monks, because that means they made the really bad class good. Because that's easily the worst subclass of monk, and they somehow made it better.
Yeah, but it's fun and it's cool flavor. So there's a lot of water whips, a lot of stunning strikes. I don't know who that joke is for. Anyway, as always, special thanks to this month's master debater, Sharkbait, who commissioned today's episode. If you out there listening want to commission your own episode of Flavor Text, go check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/debatethiscast. Anyone that joins up at the $25 a month master debater level will immediately get access to current and backlogs of our monthly movie nights. And then, most importantly, after 3 months of membership, you'll be eligible for your first Flavor Text episode. So guys, when we did One Piece, we talked a lot about the big three anime. Do you remember that? Does anybody remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kyle, do you remember what the big three anime are?
I wouldn't if I weren't looking at them written in the show notes. Do you want?
Cool. Yeah. Well,
no, wait.
Kyle...
I know. Big three. It's Metallica, Slayer, and Megadeth. That's the big three.
That's it.
Because I would have probably gotten two, which is One Piece and Naruto, and I would have said Dragon Ball Z, which it's not Dragon Ball Z.
I would have guessed Naruto.
Yeah, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and it's the big three is really specific to like the 2000s.
Yeah.
The 2000s, the real like what were the dominant forces in 2000 to 2010 in manga and anime. We talked about shonen anime. That's like stuff for boys. It's action stuff. It's robots. It's ninjas. It's samurai. It's and then there's also shoujo, which we talked about when we talked about Code Geass, which is a little bit more like characterized and more emotional and feminized or whatever because of the Patriarchy. Anyway, the big three anime, that's all what we collectively as millennials grew up with, right? Those were what was popular when we were kind of in middle school, high school, when Matt was born. Now let's talk. So today we're going to talk about what's going on, what's most popular right now. And when you talk about what is most popular right now, that is by all accounts Demon Slayer.
Oh, okay.
I have never heard of this most popular thing.
So that's right. So today we're going to talk about Demon Slayer. With me today are my fellow recruits to the Demon Slayer core: Todd, water breathing second form water wheel Thomas.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Matt, thunder breathing first form thunderclap and flash Cole. And Kyle, beast breathing fifth fang crazy cutting Harper.
Wow.
Obviously, we don't have any idea what's going on.
Obviously, you don't have any idea what's going on.
Can you help us?
It's the moves. It's the moves they use in the show, right?
It's the moves they use in the show.
And they do the Digimon thing of saying like boom bubble every time they attack. And
I thought I didn't have access to water wheel until my second evolution, but that's okay.
It's the second form, Todd. Yeah,
it's second form.
There in the move.
It's their moves. It's the shadow clone jutsu or the spirit bomb, right? Like it's that kind of thing. So what you're gonna find in this anime, I mean, this is probably the most anime-ass anime we've ever talked about on the show. It's very weeby, but I will also say, I'm gonna put a stake in the ground and say, I think this is my favorite that we've talked about also.
All right.
Over Evangelion.
I think this is
Yeah,
I think this is objectively the best. I think it's objectively the best. Evangelion, well, I take that back. I think this is objectively the best, but Evangelion has a special place in my heart because I have a lot more of affinity to that because I didn't just watch it a week ago.
Okay.
Let's start a little bit with the background. I always like to kind of, when I get into this, start a little bit about like who created this and a little bit what the business stuff that was going on. So, actually, first, sorry. Do you want to go around? Has anybody ever heard of Demon Slayer before?
No,
none of us have heard of it. You can go on.
I thought I had until you said it's the most popular anime right now, and I was like, oh no, because I would have guessed this was also 10 years old as well.
See,
got it. Okay,
I was waiting for Matt to say Demon Slayer was a band that he drank with at a Blitz Fest in his old job.
Don't know if there's a band called Demon Slayer.
The fact that you didn't straight up say yes or no means there's a chance.
Well, because I've partied with a band called Demon Hunter before, but that's a different band.
And a Warcraft class.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the background of Demon Slayer. So Demon Slayer was first released as Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba as part of the Weekly Shonen Jump manga anthology in Japan in February of 2016. You guys may remember us talking about Weekly Shonen Jump before when we talked about One Piece. This is kind of the mass anthology that kind of showcases all the new and upcoming manga artists, and all of the big dogs have been a part of Shonen Jump. Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Yu-Gi-Oh!, My Hero Academia. It goes on and on and on.
Could you
Kyle,
explain briefly what an issue is? Is this a magazine? It's
a magazine. Yeah.
So what's an issue of Shonen Jump look like then?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I looked a little bit into this because we don't have anything like this necessarily in America. I think the best way to equate this is actually consider it a platform. Like consider it like a Netflix or something. Like you subscribe to Shonen Jump. You don't subscribe to.
Sure.
It's not like it's a series of publishers. It's a collection, right? So it is a gateway, much like you would subscribe to Netflix or Spotify. It's trying to feature a bunch of artists. It might not feature all of the artists, and there is inherently in a business that stands to gain financially from it. But not everything that goes through Shonen Jump is a hit, right? It's a training ground, or it's a proving ground.
So it's like a zine.
It's a zine. It's a comic zine.
So does your weekly issue of Shonen Jump have an issue of One Piece in it that you can sample?
Yeah, it would.
It's
it
not
would be
just
imagine.
It's not just
imagine
reviews. It's like
It's a series, it's a collection. So imagine if you were receiving like a Marvel Unlimited, like I'm gonna read this month's Spider-Man, and I'm gonna read this month's Captain America and this month's Iron Man. Like it's that thing. But like in between Spider-Man and Captain America is like Mr. Poopy Butthole. Issue 1, which is like from Who the Hell.
So
Knows.
every week it's
from Rick and Morty.
You would get your One Piece, your Naruto, and your Bleach in here, but it might also slip in the first issue of like the Adventures of Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah, that's how I've understood it.
Okay.
And again, like I might be wrong, so if somebody wants to at me, feel free. At me. I'll be playing Elden Ring, so fuck you anyway.
So you can like tier up from like like we might feature you every once in a while to a like you're in the issue now. Baby,
yeah, and then eventually the goal being you start publishing standalone issues. Gotcha. Standalone issues, we don't get Shonen Jump here in the States, obviously, but we do get standalone issues of manga. And if you go to a library or bookstore, you'll see that's what you'll see. Yeah. That's what that is. Just like how comics would have anthologies of multiple volumes. So same idea. Okay, so Demon Slayer or Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, which is the official manga title, was written and illustrated by Kiyoharu Gotoge. Kiyoharu Gotoge is a very interesting person, mostly because nobody knows anything about them. They have remained completely anonymous in public, and don't really have anything before or after their credit.
I love that.
It's cool. The name is very much thought to be a pen name, but nobody knows.
Yeah, of course.
Sure,
It's the Creed Bratton of anime.
Their gender is not even known. So anything writing about this person is using they them pronouns because nobody knows who this is.
Nice.
Yeah. Now this is another interesting piece about Demon Slayer itself is unlike some of its other Shonen Jump peers, looking at you, One Piece, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba only ran for 4 years and actually ended in May 2020, which folks who listen to our One Piece episode will remember. One Piece is still going on and has been for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
One Piece will outlive the heat death of the sun.
Yep. Now, despite all this, despite having a runtime of only 4 years, Demon Slayer, the manga, is the ninth best-selling manga series of all time. This is beating out on anime staples like Attack on Titan, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Astro Boy, and even the aforementioned Bleach. So this little guy was only out there for 4 years and just made such a massive splash. And a lot of this is attributed to the huge popularity of the animated series, which is what we're going to talk about today. Now, the reason is I thought it was funny that Kyle said, I would have thought this came out 10 years ago. The series actually aired in 2019. So this is a very new show.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So this is very, very new. And it aired with the originals. The first season ran with 26 episodes. Now, the show was such a hit in Japan that it brought a ton of people over to the manga so that they could finish the story, which is pretty common. So, this is the Infinity War of anime series. This fucking exploded over in Japan. And a lot of that is said to be attributed to the pandemic. Because people were catching up on stuff when they were in lockdown in 2020. All of Japan was locked down much more seriously than we were.
Got a new show with 26 episodes. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Can I offer another metaphor in that? Is this like the WandaVision of shonen anime in the sense that like it blew up and a bunch of people who maybe hadn't been into shonen stuff before hopped on the train with the rest of us?
I think that's probably fair. Yeah. I think it's, from what I read, that sounds like a pretty good summation. So let's talk a little bit about the English dub. A company called Aniplex, who's done a lot of distribution or localizations, secured the license to distribute the anime in North America in 2019. Shortly after, an English dub was done by Funimation and premiered first on Adult Swim in the new Toonami block in December of 2019, and then was released to streaming a year later. And it currently exists on the Funimation app and on Netflix. You can watch the entire first season on Netflix.
Cool.
So it really was. I mean, to hit streaming in 2020 means that the whole world watched it.
Yeah,
that's correct. So this
except
hit it.
The three of us apparently.
Except the three of us. Well, I hadn't heard about it until a week ago. So
and when it comes to Netflix, I'm too busy watching Love Is Blind, so can't be bothered.
That's only for you.
That's me too. I've watched Love Is Blind.
I knew what I said.
He got you.
He got me.
Come watch these trash humans deal with trash humans.
Oh, it's such good trash. Go on.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Andrew, please keep telling us about anime.
You're welcome. So I mentioned earlier, this is what a huge hit this show was. This series constantly appears on best of lists, and actually the creator Koyoharu Gotoge was even featured in Time's 100 most influential people in 2021.
Wow.
This would be the very first time that a manga artist was included in this list.
Very cool. And an anonymous manga artist that
anonymous to boot.
That can't be picked out of a lineup.
An anonymous manga artist who had not done anything besides this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now I want to talk a little bit. We're not going to talk about the movie too much today, but I do want folks listening to know. So after season 1 aired, a standalone movie was released called Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie Mugen Train. Mugen means infinite in Japanese. Infinity train.
I'm a sucker for a good train story.
Yeah. Now we're not going to talk about that today. But you remember when we talked about Studio Ghibli and Spirited Away? And I mentioned and you might remember me saying when I was talking about Spirited Away, like, this is the highest grossing movie of all time until recently. That is because Demon Slayer Mugen Train recently surpassed Spirited Away. Andrew Henderson's favorite movie of all time, Spirited Away, in all-time earnings to become the highest-grossing anime movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is wild.
I'm going to end this section with what's, I think, the most important point, which I would like to present to you to enter into the pantheon of anime bangers, Demon Slayer's anime opening. It is so much a certified banger. I'll obviously have a link in the show notes. Or if you're listening, take a minute, go look it up. This song is called Gurenge by an artist called Lisa. It's capital L, small I, capital S, capital A, who is a massively successful Japanese singer and songwriter. Her music's been used in other shows like Sword Art Online, Fate Zero, and My Hero Academia. And I think pretty much like they are my personal favorite J-pop artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're great. I love their stuff.
This is the pre-work you sent us.
This is the pre-work that I sent you. Yes, so you guys.
Cool. Yeah, that ripped. That was
it does
awesome.
slap.
Yeah, very very cool. So I have ADHD, and when I was researching this episode, I went a little bit down a different path and spent 2 hours learning about Japanese history during World War I and World War II. I'm not going to get into all that, but I do want to tell you why I went down this particular route. So this show takes place in the Taisho period in Japan, and Japanese history is split up into periods that are denoted by which emperor was ruling over Japan at the time. They still do this. They have a monarchy, much like UK has a monarchy, but they're a full democracy. So the Taisho period represents the period of time from 1912 to 1926. Before that was the Meiji period, and after that was the Showa period, and this was pretty much the entire kind of lead up to Japan entering World War II into the Axis powers. Before that, this show takes place around the 20s, give or take the 1920s. This was a period of mass economic boom, a period of peace rivaling no other. That people thought could never end. Do you guys see any parallels between this and the US's own 1920s?
I don't. I see absolutely none.
No,
you could spell them out for me, and I probably wouldn't see it.
So Demon Slayers, when you watch Demon Slayer, it's definitely not really based on history. It just takes place in 1916, 1918 Japan.
Gotcha.
But the vibe behind it is very, very inspired by the Meiji Restoration, which was a period of time in Japan when Japanese, like this is post-industrial during the Industrial Revolution, where people kind of yearned for grow nostalgic for the kind of more feudal era culture that came out of Japan during that time, like during the Renaissance era. That's called the Edo period. So like everything that you know about like anything that's considered quote unquote like weeby shit, like the kimonos and the sandals and the samurai and ninja, that all comes from the Edo period. The Meiji Restoration in the early like 1910s era was very nostalgic for that period. So a lot of the culture shown, Demon Slayer is a very, very Japanese show. It is a celebration of Japanese culture. Pokemon Legends Arceus is the newest iteration of this. Like it looks like you're playing or it looks like you're watching Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like that world is very similar to what's being portrayed here.
I gotcha.
Cool. All right.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and that's all I'm gonna get into that.
The last, like probably the last time Japan's culture wasn't heavily influenced by the West as well. I would say.
And interestingly enough, Kyle, that's kind of the tie here is there is a particular character who's ultimately becomes the big bad, who is depicted as the only Western character in this show.
Nice.
We love to see it.
There we go.
Yeah. And culturally, a lot of what was happening in fiction at the time was a kind of a fear of the Westernization of Japan's culture. And that was a very common thread in horror. I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Let's get into Demon Slayer. So we're going to start by talking about the final selection arc, which covers the first 6 or so episodes. Demon Slayer begins with the introduction of our main character, Tanjiro Kamado. He's a good boy who lives on the side of a mountain overseeing a rural village with the rest of his family. Tanjiro is the eldest, and therefore he takes care of his family financially by selling charcoal to the nearby village. And the adorability of this family is cranked up to 11, as you can see in image 1, when all of the younger kids are like trying to talk to Tanjiro out of leaving to go sell the goods. And he's a good boy with a good cute family. And yes, the Kamados are an adorable happy family that nothing bad will ever happen to ever.
Oh, Andrew.
Tanjiro has red hair, so you can tell they're different.
Yeah, they got
so Tanjiro has like kind of like red highlights in his hair. His hair is black, but it's like a red outline. Yeah. That picture dials that up a little bit.
It's Tanjiro is the one in the like ska jacket, right?
Yes. Tanjiro, if you're looking at the image gallery, he's the one with the scarf and the scar on the left side of his face.
He's looking to pick it up.
Yeah. That is, I didn't write it down, but that is a very traditional Japanese garb, and I can't remember what it's called. Image 2, you'll see his eldest sister Nezuko, who is wearing a pink kimono. It's hard to tell, and she's carrying a small toddler in the back. So this is the Kamado family. There's 7 kids and their mother, and there is, you'll notice, no father. This has never happened in any Japanese media where there was an absent father.
No, there hasn't.
So anyway, Nezuko is a good girl, and she's also adorable and definitely will never experience any kind of supernatural horror.
Man, the plot armor that these characters have is just fantastic.
Anyway, so they all go about their day and everyone's happy, and they stay a happy, loving family.
He sells the charcoal and brings the money back home, and everything is great.
And he buys his siblings a toy. So Tanjiro travels down to the village to sell this pack of charcoal. And in kind of like a very like first scene of Beauty and the Beast, we see all the villagers like, Tanjiro, welcome, and it's like the birds are chirping, like everyone's like, how you doing, my boy? Like he's just, he's a good boy. There's a scene where one of the villagers insists that Tanjiro crash with him for the night because it's getting late, and quote, the demons come out at night. And Tanjiro, as a good courteous little boy, is like, this man recently lost his wife. He must be lonely to believe all of these fairy tales. I'll just be nice and reluctantly accept.
Cool guy, Tanjiro.
Yeah.
So Tanjiro wakes up the next day refreshed and ready to head back up to the mountain to reunite with his adorable family, who are all totally fine and patiently waiting for him. Mm-hmm. And this is when we're introduced to Tanjiro's quirk, I guess. Not quirk in the sense of like My Hero Academia power, just like it's a characterization. Tanjiro has a heightened sense of smell.
Tanjiro ate the smell fruit.
The sniff fruit.
The sniff fruit.
It's the sniff, you gotta make it.
For
You gotta
sure.
make it a verb.
It's got to be grosser.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a superpower like a sniff fruit thing. It's just that like he can smell. It's kind of like he's got like a built-in insight check.
Yeah.
He uses he uses his nose to smell trouble. You know, like a little bit of a spidey sense, if you will.
We've all seen Wolverine movies.
We've all seen Wolverine movies. Well, and unfortunately, the way that we see this iterate is that upon approaching the house, Tanjiro smells blood, a lot of blood.
Ooh.
And he arrives to the house, and I'm gonna say this show leans into the horror. Like this is not a children's show. I got Matt. This is
have my
not
attention.
a children's show. Like, despite the fact that it is like it is like a very much like a Naruto style anime, it's brutal. And it hits you with the gut punches minute one. So we're 6 minutes into the first episode, and we see this entire family grisly murdered inside their own home. Like bodies, corpses everywhere, like ripped to shreds. It's rough. The first thing is we see the oldest sister, Nezuko, lying over top of one of the younger kids outside of the house. Like she's over top, like she was trying to protect him. Then he opens the door and there's just like blood everywhere. It's like an episode of Dexter.
Wow.
Tanjiro discovers it's wild. Okay, so I know Todd knows this, but like the first bit of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, it's like
Nothing.
that. Like, okay,
Nope.
it grabs you pretty quick. Anyway, so Tanjiro discovers that Nezuko's body, again, that's the eldest sister, is the only one that's still warm. So the scene flashes, and we see him carrying her on his shoulders, all out sprinting down the mountain to try to find a doctor. So Tanjiro's sprint turns into like an exhausted walk as he's just like meandering down the mountain, exhausted. He briefly passes out, and he and Nezuko fall off this large embankment into the snow below. Tanjiro comes to and sees Nezuko standing over him, and he's relieved for 1 second, but that quickly turns to horror as Nezuko lunges at him with these razor-sharp fangs and this like bloodlust of a monstrous beast, like she's a zombie. And in image 3, this is what Nezuko looks like.
I accidentally went too far in the image gallery, and I was very interested how we got here.
Yeah,
She's veiny.
She veiny.
Vascular.
Yeah, so she's growling. She's got all of the visual signs of like a zombie. But this is 28 Days Later zombie rules, so like the zombies are like super powered and super fast.
Yeah, gotcha.
So Tanjiro's trying to wrestle her off of him. Her supernatural strength overwhelms him. She literally like grows bigger and more vascular.
Okay.
He's looking into his sister's thirsty eyes. Tanjiro is like pleading with his sister, like, just hang on, don't turn. And for a brief moment, we see like, you know, like the end of Pokemon, the first movie when Pikachu cries and brings Ash back to life. We see a single tear drop from his demon sister's eyes, and like her eyes go back to like from those like cat eye slits to like normal eyes for like a second, and she kind of backs off.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Now this all is interrupted by a mysterious swordsman who at that point attempts to cut down Nezuko, who is like pretty much in this berserker like rage. And Tanjiro is like still trying to protect her. Again, like this guy's wiped out. He's been beaten already to all hell.
Yeah.
This swordsman is on image 4. This mysterious swordsman introduces himself as Gyu Tomioka, who is a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. I said the name of the thing.
Yeah. He said the name of the movie.
Got it. Demon Slayer Corps, we learned, is a secret society of warriors who hunt monsters known as demons that prey on unsuspecting humans. And this is Gyu Tomioka. Fun side note, Gyu's English dub voice actor is Johnny Young Bosch, who also did the voice of Lelouch Lamperouge in Code Geass. And you may remember it was also the Black Power Ranger for the first Power Rangers movie.
Sick.
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Andrew,
Yeah.
are you telling me you watched dubs of this?
I watched dub. I like dubs. I like dubs of high. I'm sorry. I like dub because I like voice acting. I think voice acting is really good.
This guy also likes dubs.
I don't watch a movie to
man.
read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I do watch movies with subtitles.
I mean, you have to do something. So then we get this fight between Giyu and Tanjiro. Obviously, like very one-sided. Giyu's like, get the fuck out of the way. I'm trying to kill. This is a demon. Like I have to kill her. And Tanjiro's like, no, she's my sister. Because it's the power of love and friendship in anime.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, despite being woefully unmatched with this like master swordsman, Tanjiro has a little like hatchet, from collecting wood.
From
from
his
not
charcoal
being
business.
from not being a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Despite being woefully unmatched, Tanjiro does show a few glimpses of promise to Giyu. One interesting bit about Tanjiro is that his forehead is really hard and he headbutts things a lot, and it's never explained why. It's just like a weird thing that like sometimes Tanjiro headbutts people and it's always really hard.
Sure.
Okay.
So, Tanjiro can both smell good and head hard.
Yeah.
Those are Tanjiro's powers. All right, cool.
Those are his characteristics, yeah. I don't and neither of those are explained. It's just kind of funny that they just exist. Like, all right, sure.
Whatever.
But most importantly, he shows that good old shonen anime grit and determination. He's going to be the very best, the best there ever was. Not to mention, the longer that the two fight, the more Giyu recognizes that Nezuko isn't just your ordinary garden variety demon.
Oh,
So,
of course not.
Special demon.
Yeah.
Special demon. So this is what I think that is what I like most about this show is that Tanjiro is not a special boy. He's just a normal ass dude. Unlike Naruto and One Piece, where they all are like the special guy who has all of the, the Harry Potter of the world.
The chosen
like,
ones.
The
Yeah.
chosen one.
yeah.
Tanjiro is not a chosen one. He's just a dude. He's just a dude that found himself in a bad way, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool little change to that trend. So Giyu backs off and he tells Tanjiro, he's like, okay, cool, like I'll let you go. He tells Tanjiro, seek out a man named Sakonji Urokodaki to teach him the ways of the demon slayers. So Urokodaki eventually becomes like a mentor. Tanjiro resolves that he will do whatever he can to find a way to turn Nezuko back into a human, so he agrees to do this. And here we have our show. So Tanjiro is journeying with Nezuko to find a way to turn her back into a human.
Great.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, we got a pilot. There's a bunch of rules for demons, which we'll cover as they come up. The first major one that you guys have to know now is that demons are only active at night. We don't know why yet, but demons can only come out at night. So they have to travel at night because otherwise Nezuko could perish. Giyu also, and the reason I say you might have seen images from Demon Slayer before, even though you might not know that you had. Image 5 is probably the most iconic of Demon Slayer. This is another image of Nezuko, but this time wearing her iconic bamboo muzzle. Giyu at the end of episode 1 fashions this bamboo muzzle that goes around Nezuko's mouth. And this image, like this character is a very popular character. So anyone who has been on threads, Reddit threads, internet threads in the last couple years about anime probably came across this character.
Walk through your local hot topic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's image 5.
What does the bamboo muzzle do?
The bamboo muzzle, well, what it does is it stops her from trying to eat people. Because she is a zombie.
People?
Because demons eat people, and that is probably the rule that I should have clarified. Demons eat people.
Okay.
Question.
Demons
just for
are
clarification.
vampire zombies. Yes, Matt.
Okay, well, that was going to be my question. Was that you're saying demon, you're saying zombie, you're saying vampire. Are those all the same?
They are all the same and also different, and I will explain why, but we don't know that yet because at this point, all we've seen is Nezuko acting. She can't talk. She just grunts, and she's just like a beast. She's almost like a werewolf kind of thing. I know I'm throwing more fictitious monsters, but so she doesn't have. It doesn't seem like she has like sentience, but what we learn is that she actually does and can hear. She still can't talk, but she's also the muzzle is intended for her to stop her from eating people. and we'll learn a little bit more about that in the next episode.
Is there something stopping her from removing the muzzle herself?
Good question. I would say we don't know that yet.
Okay.
Really, at this point, the big deal with Nezuko is that somehow Tanjiro convinced her to stop attacking him, and she has decided. And during this fight, she actually, and I should have explained, she actually tries to protect Tanjiro in this fight with Giyu.
Okay.
So Giyu is like, because she has supernatural strength now, and she's like, she's not trained because she's a 16-year-old girl who is, just living at home. But she fights much like you would see like a zombie in a zombie movie, just like complete disregard for your body. I'll set up a couple other rules just so you guys know. So a couple other rules about demons in this world, and capital D demon. They're not demon in like the biblical sense. They're just that's what these monsters are called. So the next episode, it's wholly unremarkable, but it's basically we kind of in a monster of the week kind of style where Tanjiro and Nezuko are heading to meet up with Urokodaki. They come across a temple and they try to crash in the temple, but in the temple is a demon feasting on humans. And this is when we see what demons actually do, because we never saw the demons attack the Kamado household. The demon was already gone. So we see now in episode 2, it kind of sets up like, okay, this is what demons are. So there's a demon eating this group and this group of monks in a temple. Tanjiro, being the good boy, tries to stop the demon and again is woefully overwhelmed. Fortunately, this is where we see Nezuko step in again. She's kind of the Deus Ex Machina at this point, where she's just got supernatural abilities, and the two of them are able to kind of fend off this demon. A couple things happen that sets up the rules of demons in this world. So the one thing is this demon actually talks in like full sentences and is completely like coherent, can listen, can articulate. So we learn that demons aren't just mindless zombies. They're more like vampires in like a Castlevania sense, where they are just like fully sentient, like human like beings. They naturally eat humans, but what they're actually doing is drinking blood. So human blood is the source of their strength. So hence why I say they're more vampire than they are zombie. I know that was admittedly confusing. Also, it's interesting. Demons can't die by normal means. So they feel pain, but their bodies regenerate on this like rapid scale. So if you cut off the arm of a demon, it'll just grow back in seconds. If you slice a demon in half, it'll just like regenerate the rest of its body. If you cut a demon's head off, it will grow another body, and its other body will just like run around.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And this actually happens. So there's a scene where like Tanjiro is able to like slice this demon's head off and impale it to a tree, and then 2 little like stick arms grow out of its neck. It's like really weird. And we learned the last rule is that demons can't die unless they are in direct sunlight.
Okay,
and sunlight will burn them up like paper. So Tanjiro and Nezuko are saved by this old man wearing a Tengu mask, and he introduces himself as none other than Urokodaki, who is Image 6. And this is one of our many surrogate father figures.
Wouldn't be an anime without a surrogate father figure.
Yep, that's right, Kyle.
It would not.
So Tengu, the Tengu is a kind of like old, kind of like a goblin, like a benevolent spirit in Japanese culture, in folktale literature, things like that. You may have seen a Tengu mask before. Anyone that's played Sekiro. There's a prominent character that wears a Tengu mask as well. Anyway, it's a very Japanese symbol. Urokodaki then takes Tanjiro and Nezuko with him, saying that Tanjiro has the strong scent of fear and is basically too kind to have what it takes to cut it as a demon slayer. He also makes Tanjiro swear to kill his sister if the time ever comes that she kills a human. And this is we start our training montage. So the 3 of them head to Sanjiri Mountain, which is Urokodaki's home. Tanjiro is put to rigorous training right away. I mean, what the hell else is he going to do? His entire family was murdered. Like, fuck.
Yeah, this is your life now, Chief.
Yeah. So Tanjiro's first test is to just simply traverse this mountain, which he thinks is easy because, like, I grew up on mountain. This is easy. Except it isn't, because this mountain is an actual death trap, and it's littered with like spike pits and giant logs, and it's like it's a huge obstacle course. In this cartoonishly dangerous series of traps that's been hidden on this mountain. An entire year passes. An entire year passes in the form of a training montage. We see Tanjiro perfecting his athleticism through running through the obstacle course. He learns how to wield a sword from Urokodaki. We get some more exposition about demons and how demon slayers fight them. What you need to know is demon slayers wield special swords that are able to actually kill demons. They use a special alloy. Doesn't matter. It's sun steel. Who cares?
MacGuffin metal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's MacGuffin metal. But by using one of those swords and actually beheading a demon, you can kill it without the whole direct sunlight thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also explains how Urokodaki also explains how demon slayers are able to fight, and this is the most like superpower ninjutsu that this show gets. So this show's whole thing is this idea of total concentration breathing. This is an ideology that all the demon slayers follow, and this is what allows them to perform at superhuman levels in order to fight back the demons. Because mind you that in this universe, demon slayers are just normal people. They don't have superpowers. They're not Naruto ninjas. They don't have magic, but they do use, they all kind of employ this different variation of total concentration breathing that allows them to surpass their limits. This is what gives them magic, and it's all the anime. There's a water one, a fire one, a bug one, a sand one. You know what I mean? Like that's this, which is like cool. You gotta have a bunch. You gotta have a good way to have a bunch of one note characters.
You need your elemental boys for the first half of your anime. Yeah,
exactly. So you guys, when you watch the opener, you probably saw some of that.
Yes,
that likely makes sense now. Anyway, so we'll get into that in a little bit later. Throughout these montages, we see, of course, the hard ass with the heart of gold trope play out in Urokodaki as our good Tengu dad. While all of this is happening, Nezuko, mind you, is sleeping soundly in this catatonic state. So basically, since the fight with the demon and the other demon, the temple demon, she's just been in a coma.
Just taking a plot nap.
Just taking a plot nap for an entire year. Mm-hmm. She just sleeps.
An Odin sleep.
Yeah, she's in Odin sleep.
She'll wake up when the plot demands it.
That's kind of Nezuko's whole thing. Is she's very like she just kind of shows up when she's needed. You know.
Sure.
Do we see her get put into Odin's sleep, or is it just like a year later? Also, this character.
No, every once in a while, like because they're staying in the same room and. Tanjiro will come back and he's like he's like bloodied and bruised and he's like,
sure,
I'm gonna make you a human someday, Nezuko, and she's just sleeping.
Tells her about his whole day and
pretty
she's
much
just sleeping.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty much because he's a good boy and she's a good girl.
Yeah.
So on the 1 year anniversary of their meeting, Urokodaki explains Tanjiro's Urokodaki gives Tanjiro his final test. He leads Tanjiro to a secluded spot on the mountain where a giant circular boulder sits in a clearing. And he tells Tanjiro that in order to be accepted into the final selection screening process, Tanjiro must slice this boulder in half. The boulder is on image 7. It's big.
Okay.
It's 3 times the size of a man.
That is
someone worked really hard to get that there.
It's also perfectly spherical,
right?
And you're just gonna cut it in half.
Yep.
Man.
What was that tweet? A large boulder the size of a small boulder.
So Tanjiro attempts this a few times at as hard as he can, but obviously it's impossible because it's a giant boulder. Urokodaki just like leaves. He's just like, I'm disappointed, and leaves.
I mean, I guess like if you can't cut a boulder in half, you can't fight demons.
You can't dodge a wrench, you can't dodge a ball.
Yeah.
Tanjiro's just disappointing dads left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So 6 more months pass. Tanjiro has spent every second of his waking day training, conditioning, improving his skills. Even still, he can't put a crack in that boulder. While this is happening, Tanjiro is visited by two mysterious youths wearing these kitsune or fox masks. These are, if anyone who's played The Legend of Zelda, that's the yellow Pikachu mask. It's a kitsune mask.
Is that how you say that word? I've been saying that.
Kitsune.
Okay. That's closer to how I've been pronouncing it. I was going to say, I've been saying that word wrong for over a decade. But no,
I'm from Pennsylvania. That's my, like, I don't know shit. The boy introduces himself as Sabito and the girl as Makomo. And Sabito and Makomo are in Image 8. They are both wearing these kitsune masks. Sabito challenges Tanjiro to a sword fight. I should also note that when they show up, there's this like heavy fog and it's all very like dreamy and surreal. That'll come up later. Sabito challenges Tanjiro to a sword fight. Tanjiro remarks that it won't be a fair fight as Sabito is wielding just a wooden toy sword. To which Sabito responds by summarily whomping Tanjiro.
It's
tradition.
Yeah,
of course. Tanjiro is blown away by Sabito's superhuman agility and strength. We see Sabito very like Naruto-esque, like flashing from tree to tree, like pshoo, 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 like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
very cool. Sabito chastises him by saying he's been wasting his time on the mountain and that he needs to train harder to truly perfect total concentration breathing. So that's, again, setting up this is the Demon Slayer thing. So Tanjiro right now could probably be in the Olympics, but he probably can't fight a demon.
Still can't be a Demon Slayer yet.
Yep.
Okay.
Another 6 months pass. So at this point, 2 years have passed since the Kamino family was murdered.
Is his sister still asleep?
Still asleep.
Still snoozing?
It's Odin's sleep,
snoozing.
Todd.
It is Odin's sleep, you're right.
It's Odin's sleep. We see Tanjiro
She'll wake up when the plot asks her to wake up.
Exactly. You got it.
We see Tanjiro pushing himself to his absolute limit to try and emulate Sabito's quick movements and fast techniques. This whole thing culminates in one last battle. Mind you, this is just one episode. Like, this is a very quick, 2 years passed in one episode.
Okay.
This all culminates in one last battle where it finally clicks for Tanjiro. Now, through Tanjiro's voiceover, we learn that he's figured out a way to combine his heightened sense of smell. Remember, I said he's just a really good smeller. With total concentration breathing, which to explain there is a little bit of explained science here, but it is all very fuck you, who cares? The idea is you're gonna use every vein in your body and pump air through all. It's yoga. It's just yoga that makes you do
It's
swords.
the limitless thing. We only use 10% of our brains, and now we're using 100%.
You get it? Yeah. I like the idea that yoga can make you really good at swords.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's my
We've all
favorite
seen
bit.
Bradley Cooper movies before.
So I think this is illustrated really cool, and I think the one thing that I can't show and I can't prove in an audio format, but I really want you guys to take away is the animation on this show is so very good, and that's why I the anime opener is the first link I'll put in the show notes because the animation is very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think it's visually illustrative too of what's actually happening because there's a lot of things that happen on screen that are intended to explain what the characters are trying to do because a lot of things that you're seeing on screen aren't actually happening, right? They're not shooting water from their swords, they're just swinging their swords really fast. But the show does this thing, and we'll talk about it in a bit, with total concentration breathing to make it look cool. Rule of cool. One of those things is so everything with this show is, the sword fights aren't 3 episodes long. This isn't Goku versus Frieza. Sword fights in this show are very quick and often culminate as little mini puzzles, right? Because all Tanjiro has to do is cut off a demon's head. So in order to do that, he's in his own mind, he's okay, I need to collect myself. I need to find the weak point. Kind of like playing Elden Ring. You just need to find the opening. So it's all about Tanjiro.
Use your iframes, baby.
It's all about Tanjiro using his iframes to find the opening. And the show illustrates this by him smelling the scent and almost predicting somebody's movements. And then he visualizes a small thread tightening and pinpoint landing on, in many cases, the neck or wherever his sword is going. So the first time that he does this is in this fight with Sabito, where he stops and he does yoga breathing, and then then the thread pulls, and you see this thread directly at Sabito's face, the mask on his face, and we see Tanjiro in one quick movement slice through Sabito's face, and the mask cuts clean through the mask, and we see Sabito look shocked, and then flash, Sabito and Makomo are gone, and we get to image 11 where that boulder has been cut through.
Wow.
Okay.
So the Fox kid was the boulder?
We don't really know. Well, we do know, but that he's not the boulder. He's a spooky ghost, but we'll get to that.
Kitsune are real ghosty and mysterious.
Yeah.
Think like Ninetales is probably your closest reference point to a Kitsune. Matt?
I said that a little bit jumbled, so I'm going to double back and just explain what actually happened. So this is where we're introduced to water breathing, which is Uro Kodaki's patented form of total concentration breathing. It's the water one. So the way that this is explained is Tanjiro imagines his body like water, and that's kind of the visualization. And what we see is shown in image 9. This is when Tanjiro swings his sword, this very illustrative water, almost like a tide, will follow his blade, and it looks really fucking cool. And all of the moves that they do, the Shadow Clone Jutsus, all of the moves that they do are water breathing second form water wheel, and it's that kind of thing, because we gotta check that box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think is also cool, so I remember when I mentioned earlier the Edo period of Japan in the 1800s, their kind of Renaissance era. Image 10 is an old art, a little art history here. Image 10 is an old painting called the Wave of Kanagawa. The Wave of Kanagawa obviously is a very famous painting. Everybody has seen this painting. But the water that's shown in Tanjiro's sword is obviously heavily evocative of the Wave of Kanagawa, which I think is cool.
So what you were saying earlier then is that they are doing these forms that are based. So these are moves based on the movement of water, but the water is not. The water's
not actually there.
It's a visual metaphor for us, so it's fun to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that's perfectly stated. Water isn't coming out of his sword. It's the visualization so he can be as quick as he needs to be and as fluid and as adept as he needs to be.
Gotcha.
I just want to take a quick aside and say that I really love this art as the not typical anime enjoyer, largely because I don't really dig the art style of most animes. I really like this. The Wave of Kanagawa is one of my 2 favorite paintings. I really, really like it. It's very pretty. Also, this picture that you have of Tanjiro's water breathing, way back in 2004, a younger Matt Cole was super into black silk bowling shirts that had this design on the bottom, as seen in most of my elementary school pictures. So I'm into this.
Wait, you had the black silk button-up shirts with the water designs on them, but you didn't watch anime?
Yeah,
something's not adding up, man.
He listened to System of a Down. He chose that side of the skill tree.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, I was on the left wall of Hot Topic, not the back wall of Hot Topic.
I put all my points into the other part of the skill tree.
I see.
I do have to say we can't move on until Matt tells us what his favorite piece of artwork is, because you said this is your second favorite.
Yes.
Oh, it's Wave of Kanagawa and then Starry Night.
Okay.
Vincent
I
Van
was
Gogh's
gonna guess
Night.
Starry Night.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Cool. Neat. Yeah. Wave of Kanagawa was rad.
It was a fun moment. Still learning things about my friends.
So the boulder is cut in 2, and Tanjiro is amazed at
Solve
the thing that he
boulder
just did.
puzzle.
Solve the boulder puzzle. And as you can see in image 11, we get a really nice moment when Uro Kodaki appears from the shadows. He's been there the whole time, guys, watching over him
For a year?
For a year. And he just comes in and he says, "I'm so proud of you," and he gives him a big hug, and it's just fucking sad, and it's so good. And
have any of
you
you guys ever tried to master a skill longer than a month and
No.
not given up? Because
no.
Todd,
I
I've been
mean-
playing Overwatch for a year and a half, bud.
Yeah, well, and I'm not getting better at that either. But aside from that, there's not many things that I think I've put in more. I put more than a month of effort into before I'm like, that's not worth it. I don't need that.
I couldn't go and run 3 miles 2 days in a row because I was watching this show because I opted to watch this show instead.
I'm 34 and I can't successfully ice skate. Like I and I'm not going to, and I would never learn to. But like, dude, cut a boulder in half after working at it for 2 years.
Yeah, I can't either. Okay, so we're going to kind of fast forward a little bit. So we get a really nice moment with Tanjiro and Urokodaki. Mind you, this is like the first 4 episodes. Like we are not, we're going to go a lot faster. This is just a lot of stuff.
Sure.
So Urokodaki prepares Tanjiro for the final selection. This is kind of the like graduation, Hell Knight, if you will, for the Demon Slayer Corps.
Cool.
And much like Hell Knight, Tanjiro and the rest of the applicants have to survive a whole night in a forest teeming with demons instead of fraternity bros. Same thing.
Okay.
Urokodaki gifts Tanjiro a kitsune mask of his own as a hallmark of one of Urokodaki's students, which again, it's a nice moment. He also gifts him with the Demon Slayer sword, and this is where we learn about the Sun Steel, can cut off a demon at the head, yada, yada, yada. So Tanjiro arrives at the final selection, a bunch with like other red shirt wannabe nobody demon slayers or wannabe slayers. While making his way through the forest Hunger Games style, Tanjiro is cornered by this green hulking mass of a demon, complete with like 6 mutated arms in image 12.
That's tough to look at.
I love that design.
It needs less arms and less veins on the arms.
It's a veiny boy.
There's a lot of vascularity in this show.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood vessels. So we learn a little bit more about Sabito and Makomo. So this hulking mass of a demon is kind of like he's been in this forest for 60 years, ever since Urokodaki trapped him there. He is trapped on the forest because the forest is surrounded by this plant called wisteria. It's a very pretty purple flower that blooms in Japan. Wisteria is like the garlic for demons.
Okay.
Garlic for vampires is for demons.
Fine. All right.
Fine.
Cool.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So the Incredible Hulk is kind of trapped on this mountain and just preys on all of Urokodaki's students as signified by their kitsune masks.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And Urokodaki knows this, and it never says it. Like, it's not a trap. He kind of like, he's almost like trying to train students to beat this thing.
Yeah, the student that beats this thing becomes my one true student sort of thing. Yeah.
It's a little bit, yes, it's more fatherly than that. It's like he made a mistake and this mutant keeps ingesting more and more students and becomes more powerful and more powerful. And like, it's like Charlie Kelly putting a cat in the wall to get the bird out.
Yeah. So the student that can rectify my greatest shame is my true student. Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a really cool fight between Tanjiro and the demon. In image 12, this boy that he's got around his neck does not live. It might surprise you.
That boy's still alive?
He does not.
Picture?
No. He's super.
He's super dead.
Yeah, he's super dead.
Something about the blood coming out of his eye gave it away.
Yeah, that was what gave it to me.
During their fight, we see this image of Sabito and Makomo standing in a very misty version of the boulder, secluded forest with the boulder. They're in purgatory. They died. They both died at final selection to this demon, and they're saying like maybe Tanjiro's the one. Like maybe he can finally put our souls to rest, and he does so, and it's really cool. And in image 13, we see water breathing Tanjiro finally slicing the demon's head off in a really cool moment. And so we see like when all of the demons die in this show, this is a very recurring thing where all of these demons are revealed to have been humans at one point in their life. And maybe something bad happened to them. Maybe they were offered power they couldn't refuse. Maybe they just made a bad decision, or maybe they were just bad people, but they were all humans at one point. And as demons, they forget, much like vampires in a lot of media, they forget their like what they were like as a human, and they only know their demon form. But after Tanjiro kills them, they have this like moment of clarity, and the show is like very pensive and not forgiving of these people because they're very bad people, but like you're a tragic figure, and like I'm sorry this happened to you, but also like you need to be punished for your sins.
It's a cool. very I don't want to not necessarily Japanese thing, but like a very like at even the most evil core is like some amount of humanity. Yeah,
exactly. So Tanjiro survives the night and meets up with the other applicants. Only 5 of the 30 or so that were there actually make it through the other side to be welcomed into the Demon Slayer core. And in image 14, we've got 4 of those 5. We've got
hold on, I'm sorry. I have a question.
Yeah.
You said make it to the other side. So
the other side of the night, sorry. Make it to morning.
Okay, so it wasn't like they didn't just have to play sharks and minnows with the big demon.
No, and there was a bunch of demons in the forest. This is just one of many things that happened in that episode.
All right, got it.
Yeah,
yep,
so they just had to survive the night. So only like 1/5 of the applicants actually made it. So the graduating class of Demon Slayer core is on image 14 here. So we've got starting from the back, this very quiet girl who doesn't say any lines. We've got this blonde boy who's like screaming that he's gonna die. We've got Tanjiro here wearing his kimono gifted to him by Uro Kodaki, and then in the forefront, in the foremost image, we've got this image of this scarred boy with the sides of his head shaved. He's, I think, a criminal and like basically like threatens to murder some other people, and he just kind of disappears. And I still don't like. He has not shown up again since even as like I've watched the show.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
And you said 5, and this is 4.
There's another one, and he shows up later, and we'll get to him. So all these guys will show up later, but right now they're not important.
But we got our 4 tropes.
We got our Sakura and our Sasuke.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tanjiro heads back to Mount Sagiri and is welcomed with open arms by Uro Kodaki. He says, "Thank you for bringing the dead to rest," yada, yada, yada. And we also see Nezuko's here. She's alive, guys, and she's up.
Right.
She's up from her Odin sleep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So apparently Nezuko awoke at some point while Tanjiro was out. And to their surprise, she's fine. And they just surmise that most demons, in order to regain their strength, they have to eat humans. Nezuko's never eaten a human in an entire 2 years. Instead, she just sleeps. So she can sleep and she's fine.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
Yay.
All right.
Neat.
So days later, a visitor arrives and identifies himself as a swordsmith. He presents Tanjiro with his very own Demon Slayer sword. We learned that Demon Slayer swords are not only made with special sun steel alloy, but also of a material that reflects the user's personality and strengths by changing color. Yes, it's a mood ring.
It's the wands from Harry Potter.
Yeah, or that. The other thing I was going to say, it's like the lightsaber crystal, like the color crystal.
Yeah,
the Kyber crystal.
That's the better comparison.
Now, for some reason, Tanjiro's sword turns black, which isn't like evil or an omen. It's just proof of inexperience. Like,
okay.
So
you're not powerful enough to hold this mood ring, nerd.
So what you're telling me is, as the series progresses, that sword is going to change color at very meaningful moments and victories.
I actually don't know, because as of season 1, he's only gone through one sword.
Sure.
But probably.
Yeah, it's the Super Saiyan levels or whatever. Yeah.
It's to signify his growth as a Demon Slayer. Cool. So the other thing Tanjiro is gifted with his sword is a crow. The crow talks. Don't ask why. It just does.
Because he's Odin,
for merchandising
Odin's
purposes.
Raven.
He's Odin's Raven, and the crow is like, because this is 1912 in Japan, they don't have email, so the crows are used as messenger birds to go between the secret headquarters and all the different Demon Slayers. So the crow shows up, and Tanjiro is given his first Demon Slayer mission. And then Uro Kodaki presents him with his very last gift, which is a giant wooden box that Tanjiro can wear on his back to carry Nezuko throughout the day. So she just hops in this box, and he carries her on his back.
Do we have a picture of this?
Yeah.
No, not in here, but you can look it up.
Key pictures I want, which is that crow and
the crow's a crow-esque crow. Like there's nothing special about that crow. You can look it up. You just like Demon Slayer Nezuko box or something. Just a big wooden box.
Demon Slayer.
It's like a backpack.
If you search Nezuko box, the first thing that populates is backpack, which takes you to a bunch of links to buy your own version.
Nope, I found it. It's weird.
It's a box.
It is a box.
Yep. Seeing this this gagged girl climbing out of a small box is weird. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, so
I know.
I was having a hard time talking about like what to say about Nezuko. Nezuko is obviously, like, I don't have to tell you, the most popular character in the show. She's a cute anime girl who fights monsters. Like, everybody loves Nezuko.
And needs saving and needs saving.
She does long term. I think she's written better than most like anime girls, you know, in that like she saves Tanjiro a lot, like especially in these earlier episodes. Like every time Tanjiro's in trouble, she like kicks open her box and just like fucking noms down on the demons. It's cool. And every time she does it, you're like, yeah, it's hype.
It's an old trope steeped in a lot of now problematic things, and being 2019 when this aired is probably the best you can like portray this trope.
The other thing about this is it's not as it plays better for me because they are brother and sister and not like a romantic relationship.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes it a lot more like believable and not eye-rolly.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what this picture you put in here is, but that's different.
It's definitely the Nezuko box backpack you can buy.
Okay.
And
it's a suitcase, according to Amazon.
All right, we're going to move on to Tanjiro's first mission. So Tanjiro and Nezuko head out to answer the call. He is summoned to a nearby village plagued with the sudden disappearances of teenage girls.
Don't like that.
Don't like that. Tanjiro encounters a boy whose fiance has gone missing and is desperately trying to find clues to her whereabouts. I will remind you, this is 1912. The two eventually find the culprit, which is a demon who appears and disappears in this like pool of shadowy water in image 15. So there's a scene where he like these like arms come up literally from nowhere and like pull this poor girl into a pocket dimension, and it's unsettling.
Yeah,
so he's Freddy Krueger.
Unsettling.
He's
Freddy Krueger. Yeah, there's a lot of horror tropes here for sure. Like you can tell where the inspiration comes.
I mean, that's 100%. Like that's a screen rip from one of the Nightmare movies.
Is that the first one? I think it's the first one.
Yeah,
it's either the first or 3D. Maybe both. Question: does Water Demon only show up like when people are asleep, or can he yoink you in the? I know it's a nighttime thing.
Yeah, it's a nighttime thing. Not only when you're sleeping. He's just being a stealthy boy.
Got it.
So
okay.
Tanjiro, and we learn this as Tanjiro faces off against the named Swamp Demon, whose power to disappear and reappear in pocket dimensions is way too much for our normal-ass human boy Tanjiro, especially when the demon reveals it's actually 3 demons, which is on image 16.
They'll yoink you when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
They'll yoink you when you're awake.
It's a Doug trio of demons.
He'll yoink you if you're bad or good.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, but pretty unsettling. So this is where we're introduced to the actual magic of this show, what the demons thing that they can do, because the demons need a thing, which are the blood demon arts. Now these are this world's version of demonic superpowers. Not every demon has blood demon arts. That is only reserved for the high echelon of demons, the baddest of the bad.
Sure.
Spoiler alert, every demon that Tanjiro faces has a blood demon art.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like how in One Piece nobody had a fruit until episode 4 when everybody had fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at this is another point I mentioned earlier. Tanjiro is within a second of his life. Next, this is the first time we see Nezuko kick open the box and just like tackle one of these swamp demons and just like rip it apart. So we kind of see them working together and they're fighting along and everyone's like, oh, a demon, ah! But, just Nezuko and it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I love the idea that, I mean, his sister is still like an adult-sized person.
Yeah.
And he's carrying her in a backpack. Like
she can shrink her body and grow her body. I don't know why she can. It's not her blood demon art because she gets a blood demon art later. She can shrink and grow.
So
That's
she's like a Pokemon.
Demon. So that's a demon thing that like she shrinks and grows separate from her. Oh, okay. just
It's a plot
convenience
thing.
then.
It's not. It's specifically not, because one of the demons comments, "Why is this girl shrinking?"
Oh, okay, good.
Wow.
later on. Yeah, it's pretty wild. There's a lot of this show that nobody ever explains, and I kind of love that about this show.
I'm into that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, for the same reason I loved Umbrella Academy, like, I don't need an explanation for why Tanjiro's smell is really good. Just tell me it is. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty cool fight. At one point, Tanjiro like dives into the swampy pocket dimension, and like you see like all these little like trinkets and stuff, and it's all the memorabilia from the girls that the swamp demon murdered, which is like very rough, but also like really cool, like artistically, you know. So Tanjiro and Nezuko defeat the demon. Before that, like when it's on its deathbed, though, Tanjiro does take the opportunity to try to interrogate the demon, and there's some backstory here which we'll get to in a bit. There's a big bad, and the name, so Uro Kodaki, before Tanjiro left, told Tanjiro like, hey, like, you are trying to turn Nezuko back into a human. There is only one demon on this earth that we know of that can turn humans into demons. This is not a vampire thing. This is not just like if you're bitten by a demon, you turn into a demon. That's not, I thought that's what it was. Like, I thought that's what the show was setting up. Yeah. That is not it. There is one demon in this entire universe who can turn humans into demons. Otherwise, they just kill them.
Wait, can turn humans into demons or turn demons into humans?
Well, demons into humans. No one's ever reversed.
Got it. Okay.
No one's ever played that Uno reverse card.
Yeah, he's saying like if your only hope is finding this demon who transformed your sister and convincing him to undo, convincing this horrible demon to undo it.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
So this big bad, this horrible demon, their name is Muzan Kibutsuji. And he'll be important here in a minute. So Tanjiro is trying to interrogate this demon and saying, like, where can I find Muzan Kibutsuji? And the swamp demon just like goes completely pale and is like, I can't say. And he just like kills himself.
Wow.
Well, doesn't kill himself because demons can't die, but Tanjiro kills him. It's fine. Anyway, so that's a little exposition or a little foreshadowing. So they leave the village boy with the remains of his murdered fiance, and it's fine. Okay, cool. So Tanjiro is then summoned to the Asakusa district in Tokyo, which is the first time he or Nezuko have ever been to the city, and is such immediately overwhelmed by all the people and the hustle and the bustle, because this is just a good little farm boy. He's Luke Skywalker. He's never been around people.
Yeah.
Also, this is where the show leans into the actual, reminds us that this is actually 1914, and people are wearing like, people are not wearing kimonos and robes here and sandals. They're wearing suits and dresses and things like that, and they're driving cars, right? So this is just like a complete culture shock to him. While they're there, Tanjiro is struck with the pervasive scent that he smelled the same day that he first discovered his family's murder scene, and he kind of makes the connections that, okay, Muzan Kibutsuji is the only one that can turn a human into a demon. I smelled this smell. He turned Nezuko into a demon. I smelled this very same smell 2 years ago. I must be near Muzan Kibutsuji.
It's the smelly smell that smells smelly.
The smelly smell that smells smelly. Oh, man. I wanted to say it.
Yeah, that's very good. So Tanjiro full-on sprints down this crowded street yelling Kibutsuji's name. Now, you guys have seen some pretty fucked up images of demons. On image 17, we see this is pretty much the biggest big bad of this entire show. And he looks just like a dude with a Michael Jackson hat. He looks like Michael Jackson.
He looks kind of
like... He
does
look a little bit like Michael Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't trust anyone wearing a white hat and a white tie. Like, that's...
Yeah.
That's a pretty big red flag, but yeah.
This is Muzan Kibutsuji, and he is an excellently written villain. He is so completely, like, horrifying and fucked up, but he can be so as just like looking like a dude, and I think that's really cool narratively. Also, this goes back to that trope that I was talking about earlier in a lot of Japanese media at the time, in showing Western themes as a horror trope, as like a monster, and this is very much a thing where like all of the other demons and the heroes and stuff are all very Japanese themed. Here's your one like very Western themed dude.
Yeah.
And he's the top of the food chain. I think that's cool.
Very cool. Very
So
cool.
there's a scene here where obviously, like, you know, he is Tanjiro. This little boy is had no match for this man. So Kabutsuji is in a crowded street and he plays coy, like he doesn't know what's going on. He has the police restrain Tanjiro. While doing so, this man very discreetly drags a small claw. So we see his fingernails turn into claws, and he drags a claw against another pedestrian's throat. Seconds later, that man starts screaming out and like hulking out in the middle of the street. And like Tanjiro tries to like tackle him, but he's also being restrained by police. It's a whole scene. And then the guy just like disappears into obscurity.
This is the second anime bad guy that has reminded me directly of the bad guy from Osmosis Jones. I just want to put that out there.
Cool.
Drax was it Drax? Was that the?
Oh, I don't remember. I wasn't going to pull the
Feels-
receipts, Kyle.
He was a
Feels
very anime villain in Osmosis Jones. Osmosis Jones was on Cartoon Network a lot, and I watched it almost every time it was on Cartoon Network.
Thrax.
What was it?
Thrax.
Thrax.
Okay.
Like thorax without the O. It's creative.
So this whole mess is interrupted by this strange fog that envelops the area and kind of just like calms everybody, and a big friendship spell is cast and everyone just kind of goes about their day. We see a woman appear from out of nowhere and whisk Tanjiro to safety. This woman takes Tanjiro and then also Nezuko to a mansion that's like smack dab right in the middle of the city, hidden by an illusion spell. Magic does exist in this world, but again, it's in the form of blood demon arts. So this woman introduces herself as Tamayo, or Lady Tamayo, and introduces her assistant Yushiro. Together, Tamayo and Yushiro are both demons, hence why like they have an illusion spell, because they have magic, they have demon magic, but they have also sworn off eating humans, much like Nezuko. Now, they are also completely coherent, can talk, can verbalize. Nezuko can't talk, but they are very much so. Their existence proves that demons can go without eating humans.
There's some hope for Nezuko to
There's some hope.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between those two is Tamayo and Yushiro actually do eat blood. They drink blood. They purchase blood from a blood bank.
Okay.
This is a real true
So-
blood situation.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
True Blood, Twilighty type thing.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. They're in Image 18. So Tanjiro asks Tamayo if there's a way to revert Nezuko's demonic state, as Tamayo is a doctor. She's a doctor who treats humans. Tamayo tells him that in order to synthesize an antidote, she'll need the demonic blood of Kibutsuji's lieutenants, the 12 Kizuki. This is the series of wanted posters that you get. These are all your mini bosses, your level bosses. The 12 Kizuki. These are some of them. The 12 Kizuki are the second to Kibutsuji, the most powerful demons out there, because they share blood with Kibutsuji. It's not said here, but just so you guys know, Kibutsuji is the demon king. He's Ganon. He is the creation of demons. So he has been there since time immemorial.
Okay, gotcha. I'm hung up on Tamayo's name because it's very similar to a character in Magic's name, Tamio, which is also a Japanese-based character, and I'm just like, I wish I knew any amount of Japanese to like connect those roots, and I'm stuck. Go on.
I should also note that this picture of Lady Tamayo illustrates one of the interesting things about this show's illustration, which is the eyes of frail women are just like the biggest, most insecty eyes.
Oh yeah.
There's a few other women characters that have similar eyes. Nezuko's eyes are like a lot like this too, but they're pink. And they just like, they very much like love to double down on the anime-ness of women's eyes.
Sure.
It's very weird.
Sure.
But what are you gonna do? Okay, so now that Tanjiro is on Kibutsuji's list, he sends off two of his subordinates to track down the demon slayer who approached him in the city. These two find the group by following Tanjiro's human scent and attack the four in their secret secluded mansion. These two demons, shown on image 19, work together. So this is the first time we've seen two demons working together, like not just like in a frenzy trying to eat humans, but like actually for a goal.
Coordinating attacks, yeah.
And this is the Arrow Demon, who literally like just shoots arrows. It's very weird.
Okay.
like literal red arrows in the air that just do a bunch of damage.
Okay.
Cool.
Neat.
And then the Tamari demon, who's on the right, that's the woman. She throws Tamaris, these little Japanese toy balls, but with like dangerous precision enough to like blow off the sides of a house.
So it's the Blitzball demon.
Yeah, it's the Blitzball demon. She
Yeah.
also has 6 arms like Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Sick, dude.
Yeah. So the cool thing about these two is the arrow demon uses his arrows to change the trajectory of the Tamaris. And they zip zap all over the place, and they basically cut through this mansion and turn it into Swiss cheese because like the force of the Tamaris are fast enough to break through the wood, walls.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's like doing like right angles in the air. It's really cool, really weird, and very like very creepy and like very unsettling, but cool. So the two, as I said, they decimate the mansion and briefly behead Tamayo and Yushiro. I will remind you that demons can't die unless they are, shown sunlight, so it's fine. But it's still like, holy shit, that guy just got his head pulled. Like, we met this character 10 minutes ago, and he doesn't have a head anymore.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's still bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Mm-hmm. And they still feel it. Like, it's still pretty traumatic to lose your head.
Yeah.
Tanjiro is able to fight back and eventually behead the arrow demon, but like at the cost of breaking just about every bone in his body. Because like even after he beheads the arrow demon is still like not like while he's being melted by the sun steel, he's yeeting Tanjiro up in the air with arrows.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna
rough.
take you down with me if I'm going
mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nezuko is squaring off against the Tamari demon, but gets crushed. She's just not strong enough. Tamayo, fortunately, saves the day after being beheaded by using her blood demon art of basically casting Zone of Truth to force the Tamari demon to utter Kibutsuji's name. This, in turn, inflicts his curse on her. To talk briefly about Kibutsuji's curse, this is why Kibutsuji is such a terrifying villain. So Kibutsuji runs the entire army of demons strictly through fear. Like, I think he's one of the best iterations of like demons are terrified of him. And like anybody that tries, like these demons are very clearly prisoners. Once they are given this power through his blood, because his blood is like the source of whatever, he's got the Triforce of power. When they get the power from his blood, they are basically his prisoners, and he will do whatever he wants to them. And because demons can't die, they can be subjected to any level of torture you want. Case in point, Kibutsuji's curse. Kibutsuji can also not kill a demon, but what Kibutsuji can do is he laces his blood with this like basically like mutating cancer that explodes demonic cells one by one and like keeps doing it because again they regenerate. It just like keeps exploding their cells one by one, so basically they're just like a boiling puddle of flesh and blood on the ground, and they feel it because they are still alive. So they're just like they're just a boiling puddle of blood until the morning comes, and then they finally get fried.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That's so we're gonna pause really heavy.
So we're gonna pause here for a break.
Yeah, I'm gonna ponder that.
Yeah. While you guys are thinking about boiling blood, check out this 30-second liner that's probably not an ad, and we'll be back with more of Demon Slayer right after this.
From the nerds at Debate This comes a new streaming experience.
Last year, we launched The Plus is Loose, a podcast where we dove into plot details, Easter eggs, and wild speculation into 2021's breadth of new MCU content.
And we're still gonna do that. We're just changing some things.
Coming to Twitch this March, a show that asks the real questions.
Kyle, why are you talking like that? Yes, anyway, starting with the release of Moon Knight on March 30th, we will be streaming our MCU post show at twitch.tv/debatethiscast. Episodes will still be posted on the same podcast feed a day later.
So just like when Mephisto...
What? No, we're not going to talk about Mephisto anymore.
Yeah, unless he actually shows up.
Bringing you the best recaps of the MCU, and only the MCU.
Well, that's not entirely true.
Yeah, we talked about this, bud. We're gonna cover other stuff too.
Yeah, all kinds of comic book TV shows and movies, just like that Jared Leto movie Morbius that's definitely coming out.
Yeah, and we're also going to have special guests to tell us what they thought of the thing we watched.
Guys, I'm sorry. I screwed this whole thing up. I'll just go.
No, Kyle, no, it's okay. We still need someone to reveal the new name.
Yeah, why don't you do it?
Yeah? You mean it?
Yeah, go on ahead.
Coming this March to Twitch. Look out for Avenge This, a comic book movie and television discussion show where we watch all of the MCU stuff and also some of the DC stuff that we want to watch. You can watch Avenge This live at twitch.tv/debatethiscast or download episodes through the Avenge This podcast feed wherever you download podcasts.
Hey, there you go.
Good.
Super duper.
All right. So we've got Tanjiro's next mission, which is the Suzumi Mansion arc. So Tanjiro is heading out of the Tokyo city limits, and while en route to his next mission, he comes across the boy with the blonde hair, who you may remember from the final selection graduation.
Was he the one screaming that he was gonna die?
He's the one screaming he's gonna die. This is Zenitsu Agatsuma in Image 20. He's a little blonde boy.
What is going on with his soul patch, dude? Do you see that little clip of a soul patch?
It's not a patch. It's just shadowing.
It's a piercing.
Oh, okay. All right. I was gonna say that's a crime.
Yeah. So Zenitsu, here's your Krillin, your Usopp from One Piece. He's your cowardly sidekick. He's constantly yelling and screaming that he's gonna die or that it's all hopeless, and he's the comedic effect. He's also girl crazy because of course he is the sidekick after all. He's gotta check those boxes. So when Tanjiro comes up to him, he witnesses Zenitsu trying to convince this village girl to marry him, and she clearly wants nothing to do with him. He's like, marry me before I die. It's pretty funny.
It's a bold strategy.
Tanjiro's like, dude, she's not interested. Leave her alone. And then he kind of gets distracted, and Zenitsu and Tanjiro recognize each other from final selection, and then also realize that they're on the same mission. And that mission is to hunt down a demon that's been preying on the local populace, and right now is holed up in this elaborate mansion.
Wait, is the Demon Corps Witchers? Are the
They're
Demon
Witchers.
Slayers
Yeah.
Witchers?
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you just say that?
Yeah.
I forgot that you knew I almost made a Witcher reference earlier, but I forgot that you knew the Witcher.
We ranked it as the top of our flavor texts.
Well, I forgot you watched the show, all of the show. So him training is very similar to Geralt training Ciri in the castle in Kaer Morhen. Thank you. There is no trial of the grasses, but their demon slayers are normal people.
He had to cut the boulder in half.
He had to cut the boulder, and they
had to survive the night of murder.
They had to survive the murder night. They are normal people hunting monsters and trying, and in order to do so, surpass normal human limits.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Does a bard write a cool song about any of them?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, no. Well, a bard writes a cool song. Her name is Lisa, and she has it's called Garanga. Yeah. So they head up to investigate. On the way, they encounter a boy and girl whose older brother has gone missing. Red flag, and the gang assumes that it's the work of a demon. Tanjiro and Zenitsu go to investigate, but soon get separated as a result of the demon's blood art. And this demon art is really cool. So this demon is called the Suzumi demon. This is Image 21. And what you're going to see, the most striking thing about this demon is that he's got big old Suzumi drums grafted onto his body.
Nice.
He sure do.
Yeah, so Suzumi drums are like those little Japanese hand drums. They have a very iconic sound. It's like a boop, boop.
Yeah.
I can't really do it audibly.
What was that?
Boop. You if you heard it, you would know what it is. All right. Go look up Suzumi Drum, nerd. Anyway, so
you go look up Suzumi Drum.
when the Suzumi demon has the power of the movie Inception. So when the Suzumi demon hits one of the drums, it turns the entire room 90 degrees.
Oh,
whoa!
Yeah,
that rules.
It's really cool. And,
what a weird power!
It's so weird, but so cool. So it's like he's got the power of bending reality. So like one of the Tamaris will flip the room 90 degrees left. The other Tamari will flip it 90 degrees right. One of the Tamaris it eliminates or adds a door. Like it's really cool. So the fight is very cool and very Inception-y because you see like Tanjiro running on this like rotating room and like hopping from wall to ceiling to floor, and like he's like in his own head, like he hit left, go left, he hit right, go right. Like it's really cool.
Tight.
Yeah.
It's a Parappa the Rapper battle.
Sure, it's a Parappa the Rapper battle. So a couple other important things happen in the Suzumi mansion. So we've got Tanjiro fighting this Tamari or this Suzumi demon, excuse me. While this is all happening, Tanjiro encounters another demon slayer running around in a boar mask and no shirt, wielding two serrated swords. This man, Image 22, is Inosuke Hashibira.
Who is
Immediate
hard.
favorite.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dude, this guy is stacked.
Inosuke is literally insane. All of these kids have massive PTSD. I should be very clear.
Yeah,
everyone's got PTSD.
You don't fight demons and not get some PTSD out of it.
Yeah, you don't score a 2 on the childhood trauma scale and go fight demons. Yeah, so Inosuke talks like this, and he's just constantly yelling. And he fights. So I put a video clip later on down in these notes, and I'll again put it in the show notes. But like he fights low to the ground, much like a boar. He also wears a boar mask all the time.
Is he our like barbarian character?
He's a barbarian character.
Nice,
yeah,
nice,
exactly. Yep. So you've got your Krillin or Usopp, and then you've got your Yamcha or Piccolo, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
So these are Tanjiro's best friends. This is their trio is Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. And but what a trio they are. While all this is happening, remember Zenitsu and Tanjiro got separated. Zenitsu, meanwhile, is trying to find a way out of the mansion along with the brother, one of the kids that they'd found. Of course, all the while screaming and trying to run. And the brother's just like, the kid is like, "What the fuck's the matter with you, dude? Like, aren't you a demon slayer?" They come across the other demon living in this mansion because there are two demons, and the other demon is just strictly called the Tongue Demon.
Ooh, don't like that.
He is Image 23. And he asks, "What if demon but tongue?"
Oh, I don't like that.
I love the second eyes above the first eyes.
Yeah.
This one's
I didn't
cool.
see those
This one's
right away.
really
And
dope.
it looks like there are eyes on the tongue as well. Am I reading that right?
I think this might be the next show Matt watches, guys.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch this too. This
It's only what,
it's really
26
cool.
episodes?
Yeah, 26 episodes on
It's a
Netflix.
small ask.
Easy.
Mhm. I did it in 4 days.
Those are rookie numbers, son. You got to pump those numbers up in this racket.
I was playing a lot of Elden Ring, okay? So this fight is really interesting because we learn a lot more about Zenitsu. We get Zenitsu's backstory of like, because you might ask yourself like, how the hell did this kid train to be a demon slayer? Like he can't even like look at a demon. And we see that Zenitsu does this thing where he just kind of passes out and then awakes and awakens as a competent swordsman.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, the show here's the thing. The show calls it sleepwalking. The wiki calls it sleepwalking. I wouldn't be surprised if this is just his PTSD iterating in a full split personality, but that's just me.
Sure.
He does the thing that Will Ferrell does in Old School, where he blacks out and gives a very conscious performance. Then goes, "I don't know what happened. I blacked out."
Well, and much like that, the tongue demon terrifies Zenitsu so much that he screams himself to sleep and like passes out and then wakes up as Image screams himself to sleep like I do on Twitter every night. And Zenitsu wakes up and gets this like very classic samurai stance that you see in Image 24 and shows off his own version of total concentration breathing, which is thunder breathing. He's the lightning one.
Gotcha.
Cool. So when I did the thunder breathing, lightning clap, and flash, this is Zenitsu's move. So Zenitsu moves with the speed of lightning, and he does the like has this hand on the sword, and then like it like opens and closes it.
Oh yeah,
it's like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay,
that's Zenitsu.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just one swing is all it takes, and he kills the tongue demon flawlessly. And then the kid that's with him is like, "What the fuck is with this dude?" Zenitsu's also a fan favorite, if you couldn't already tell.
Sure.
So meanwhile, Tanjiro has killed the Suzumi demon. Inosuke's running around in a pig mask. They all end up back outside. And the first time that all three of them are together is this like kind of weird but sweet moment where so Tanjiro's last and we see Inosuke yelling, and Inosuke and Zenitsu are both yelling. Inosuke is like beating Zenitsu to a bloody pulp. Because we don't know that Inosuke is a demon slayer at this point. He's just some dude in a pig mask running around.
He's just here to party.
He's just here to party. Like
he's Andrew WK.
Yeah. Like we assume he is, but he never says it. And he just like he's beating the shit out of Zenitsu. And the reason why is Zenitsu is huddled over the Nezuko box. And the reason he is because at one point Tanjiro says, watch this box. It's more important to me than my life. And Zenitsu, like, in tears is like, Tanjiro said this is more important to him. And I was like, oh.
And Inosuke can tell there's a demon inside.
And Inosuke knows there's a demon inside. Sure. He's like, why are you protecting this demon? And Zenitsu reveals that he has really good hearing. Yeah.
So we're gonna get all five senses by the end.
We're gonna get all five senses.
Hold on a second. Levon, get the fuck down. Let me kick my cat out.
Your cat just went beast mode.
Mm-hmm. That's Matt's cat's beast breathing.
It's beast breathing. Do you want to guess who has beast breathing?
Is it the guy with the pig mask?
It's the guy with the pig mask. Matt, I said, do you want to guess? Do you want to guess who has the beast breathing?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's Inosuke.
It's Inosuke. So Inosuke and Tanjiro fight to protect Nezuko and Nezuko's box. And I put the clip in the show notes, and I put the clip in our Google Doc here. And I think it's a really good fight. They're fighting mostly unarmed. It's just a bare knuckle brawl between two cut boys, and it's cool because like Inosuke's fighting style is very close to the ground. Like he's almost on all fours. Like he's mostly feral.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But I just think the animation is really, really cool. Weirdly enough, all three of these boys with heavy PTSD build a relationship and kind of become friends.
Trauma bond is
trauma bond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a good old fashioned anime trauma bond. And Tanjiro introduces the other two to Nezuko, and of course Zenitsu brocks out. He does the whole nosebleed thing and goes, ah!
I was gonna ask earlier how many times this guy's nose bleeds throughout the
It's a few. So Zenitsu's like, I'll do anything for Nezuko. He's that guy. Good, so So they go to an old lady's house and get taken care of, and kind of like they heal their wounds and whatever, and we get some exposition dump, and it's a cute episode, and they're all friends. We don't need to talk about it anyway. Okay, so the last big thing we're going to talk about is the Nadagumo Mountain incident, and I'll say pretty much the back half of season 1 focuses on the events leading up to and immediately following this Nadagumo Mountain incident. So how this starts is all three boys, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, are called in to investigate another disturbance on Nadagumo Mountain. When they arrive, they meet another demon slayer, just like another red shirt. And you can tell they're red shirts because they all wear the same thing. They don't have any characteristics. They don't have total concentration breach. They don't have an element. They're just demon slayers.
Yeah.
They're red shirts. He tells him his whole squad was killed. Tanjiro does the thing he does and smells a very smelly smell, foreshadowing that what's there is real bad news, you guys. Remember I talked about the 12 Kizuki, big bads?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to get into what's one of the 12 Kizuki.
Okay.
So that was foreshadowing.
Our first gym leader.
Our first gym leader. So Tanjiro and Inosuke run ahead, and Zenitsu chickens out and stays behind. Tanjiro and Inosuke suddenly find themselves surrounded by walking corpses that are being controlled by these like puppet-like threads that are revealed to be spider webs. Yeah, it's a spider puzzle dungeon horror mystery.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's really cool because like this, like the dead bodies of their demon slayer friends are being like slung around like puppets, and then there's a few people who are alive but like gravely injured, and every time they're made to move, their bones break.
Oh,
yeah, it's rough. It's a spider puzzle dungeon mystery. Strap in for the next 5 episodes. We got spiders, boys.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm less in now.
Spiders, men, if you will.
If you look on image 25, here's our rogues gallery of the spider family that's
and then it
living
gets
in
worse.
this forest.
God.
So this is the group of spiders that are behind this. Now, it's a little hard with the image, but I want to make note of 2 particular figures. No, it's not the 6 human-looking figures. It's the hulking brick shithouse with a spider face in the back, and the spider with a human head in the back left.
Yeah, those are both there. Those are both things.
This is giving off big Full Metal Alchemist vibes, right?
Yeah, this straight up. Gets very Full Metal Alchemist.
I mean, 6 of these people got mostly human with a little spider, and 2 of them got mostly spider with a little human.
Yeah,
that's right, Matt. They super did. And I want to direct your attention first to the brick shithouse, the aforementioned brick shithouse. So this is the father of the group. Well, actually, let me take that back. So they solve the puppet spiders. They kill one of the demons who are controlling the people with the spider threads. And then they realize there are a bunch of, and this is where they meet the family. And the family is led by the father, which is that hulking horror with the spider face. They believe this must be the rumored 12 Kizuki. So the thing that Tanjiro smelled and the thing that they've heard, like there might be a 12 Kizuki here. That's what this is them making that connection. Neither Tanjiro nor Inosuke can even penetrate this meat hulk's skin and are just set up for a big old whomping. Like by whomping, I mean this guy uproots a tree and uses it as a club. He's a Dark Souls boss.
Oh my God.
Tanjiro is straight up yeeted out in the air like fucking Jesse and James, and while mid yeet, he is yelling, "Inosuke, don't die!" We flip to Zenitsu, and Zenitsu gets all freaked out and worried about the boy's safety and wants to go save Nezuko, so he rushes into the mountain. He is then ambushed by these much smaller spiders with human heads that look like the fucked up toys from Toy Story.
Yeah, they sure
and
do.
You can see that in image 26, and it's weird. It doesn't feel good.
Nope.
I mean, I like image 26 more than 25.
Do you?
So
I'm not sure that I do. Yeah.
So in image 25, back left is that spider with the human head. He appears. He's the other spider demon that appears, and he tells Zenitsu, "Ha ha ha! You've been poisoned," and explains that poison will turn Zenitsu in one of those man spiders.
Oh no!
On image 26,
the image 26 man spiders.
Yeah.
Got it.
So Zenitsu does another panic and once again shocks himself into a straight up coma. And then he wakes up as a badass and slices down the Spider-Man in one go.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Even though the spider is dead, Zenitsu is still poisoned. So we see this moment where he like completely like rationalizes and says, "I think I can hold off if I use my total concentration breathing to try and slow the poison." And that's what he does. And he basically puts himself into a second coma and tries to slow the poison from entering his bloodstream. We'll catch up with him in a sec. So, meanwhile, Tanjiro got yeeted and winds up deeper in the forest. And I'm also skipping through, like, this is like 3 episodes, by the way. A lot of shit's happening.
Sure.
Tanjiro encounters the real brains behind this spider operation, which is a boy named Rui. Now, this is image 27. Rui is revealed to be the actual member of the 12 Kizuki and the leader behind this entire fucked up spider family. Rui is basically imprisoned these other lesser demons and like imprinted his own mark via his blood onto them and like just made them be his family. But they are not related. They were never a family at one point. Okay. They are his prisoners. And Rui is shown in image 27, if I didn't say that already. Rui's blood demon art is pretty horrifying. He weaves these razor thin spider webs. Like he has like threads on his hands like a cat's cradle. And he can use them and kind of like he can use they come from his hands like Spider-Man, and he uses them to slice people, and they're like razor thin, but they are tensile and not pretty much unbreakable. So you see like scenes of him basically just like in one swoop. Do you know that scene in the Resident Evil movie with the laser pool where people get turned into cubes? That's what happens.
I was thinking of that exact moment. Yes.
Hellraiser. Is that the other one where they like walk through the...
I didn't see Hellraiser.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just thinking of another scene in... That happens in like 2 or 3 different Resident Evil movies, and it's awesome every time.
Well, that happens here. So an entire squad of demon slayers approaches Rui, and they're like, "We got him. He's just a kid." And Rui goes,
"Whoops,"
and then slices them all like Swiss cheese, and they turn into bloody cubes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So obviously Tanjiro yet again is woefully unmatched by this member of the 12 Kizuki, and we find this out by seeing how he attempts to slice through just one of Rui's web threads and breaks his sword trying to do so.
Whoops.
Yo.
Yeah. And again, this thing slices right through skin. So there's a moment where, say it with me, Tanjiro's about to die.
Friendship.
Yeah. The power of friendship in anime and love. Nezuko comes and tries to save the day, and she's able to save Tanjiro, but also gets like basically strung up and impaled. At this point, this is when Rui decides that he wants to add her to his family. And then Tanjiro's like, "No, not my sister. Oh, God." and continues to fight. And much like the power of anime, Tanjiro just gets that sweet, sweet second wind. And through the power of anime, he's able to channel a memory of his father. And this is... it's a very anime thing. This is the big fight where like the hero is down for the count, and he summons all his strength, yada yada yada. But this is a really cool scene, and I actually linked to this scene, the end of this scene in the show notes. But I'll explain what happens. So, basically, Tanjiro channels this memory of his father. Remember the Kamado family? There was never a father in the picture.
Yes,
we never talked about a father. For some reason, Tanjiro decides to remember his father, and his father surprisingly looks a lot like Tanjiro. He also has a scar in the same place to imply that scar is a very common thing that people that work with fire get. I think it's a burn mark. To be their family, it's not exactly, I'm probably missing something, but like the show just says their family worked with fire, but like they made charcoal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a thing. So like that was his dad's business, he made charcoal. I guess you make charcoal? Is that dumb to say?
You char wood, but not so much like you pre-burn wood basically so it catches easier.
So that's what his dad was very sickly, and they don't say how he died, but it's assumed that he died when Tanjiro was younger. And there's a scene where his dad is dancing in the woods, like doing like a fire dance, and it's not really explained why, but the exposition is his mom is explaining to a younger Tanjiro in a flashback, this is a dance your father does to like ward off bad spirits, yada yada yada. And he says, "Dad's really sick, how is he able to do this barefoot in the snow?" And the mom says, "I don't know, he just does it." And Tanjiro realizes that his dad was utilizing his own version of total concentration breathing, and Tanjiro kind of channels that energy and tries to employ this technique. I don't really know how to explain it, but the way that the show illustrates it is his water sword turns into a fire sword, And it's really cool because it's
awesome.
like, oh, he's using the power. He's using like he's channeling his dad's power.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So it's like this sword of water and fire kind of spins around, and he's able to cut through one of the threads with this like flaming sword, which is really neat. But he gets to Rui's neck, and he's dodging, he's slashing at threads when he gets to Rui's neck, and his sword stops at Rui's neck. And this is when we flash to Nezuko, who's of course the Deus Ex Machina, and Nezuko's like being like literally ground up by these threads. And Nezuko, and you hear a voiceover, Nezuko's mom saying, "You have to help Nezuko, you have to save Tanjiro, he's gonna die." And Nezuko screams in her own head, "Blood demon art, explode!" And you see in image 28, Nezuko activating her blood demon art. She's got magic.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so this is Nezuko in image 28 strung up with these like razor sharp threads. She activates her blood demon art, which explodes all of her shed blood, some of her blood, which happens to be on Tanjiro's sword. Remember, Tanjiro's sword broke. It's literally just a hilt.
Yeah.
So it's like the explosion from her blood on Tanjiro's sword like propels it and like slices through Rui's neck.
That's cool.
It's really
Awesome.
cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, I watched this fight and it's really cool.
It's hype as hell. So that link is in. I'll put that link in the show notes, but that link is here. Next episode, as it turns out, Tanjiro actually didn't kill Rui. Whoops. Rui
Because it was with fire and not a sword. Yeah.
No, because Rui explains that as he's regenerating, Rui explains that he sliced off his own head at the last second just so he could regenerate later.
Okay.
It was like
right.
totally uncool. But that scene is still hype as hell, and I think is a really cool ending. But there are 6 more episodes, and we're not going to cover a lot of them because they're really just like closing and set up for later. So I'm going to just blaze through the next couple episodes because really after this, it's pretty much cleanup at this point. So after this fight, Tanjiro is like, he's dead. I mean, he's on death's door. Like he's got nothing left. They're about to die, and at the last second, of course, they are saved by none other than Giyu, who you may remember from way back in the first episode. That was Johnny Young Bosch, the Black Ranger. Giyu shows up. Shit. Turns out Giyu also uses the water breathing. He is the water breathing Hashira, which we will talk about Hashira in just a second. So what's cool about this is this shows just how vastly different. You know, we see Tanjiro like pretty formidable demon slayer. He's able to take on one of the 12 Kizuki. Not really. Giyu literally shows up and wipes the floor with this guy in a matter of seconds. Like it takes him little effort, if any. So like that's just the massive valley that's between these two.
Gotcha.
Who both had the same instructor, Urokodaki. So Giyu Tomioka, they use a lot of people's last names. Tomioka also saved Inosuke from the big hulking brick shit house spider demon, because Inosuke was literally getting like squeezed like a ketchup packet, and like all his like throats and rib cages like broken. His entire body was shattered. So fortunately, Tomioka was able to save him as well. And then meanwhile, we see Zenitsu. He was about to die, his body's like covered in this poison. He's like barely breathing. And this girl shows up and injects him with an antidote. And this is image 29. This is Shinobu Kocho. And she's another of those big insect eyes girls. So Shinobu Kocho is another one of the high-ranking demon slayers. She has a little fencing sword. It's like almost like a foil. So she doesn't actually like cut demons' heads off. She's like, her whole thing is she uses like poisons and things. She's the medic of the group. So she uses poisons, and she injects her sword with a wisteria poison, which I think is pretty cool. Wisteria is that flower it's like the garlic.
Yeah.
Nice.
So she like slowly poisons demons, which is, I think is pretty rad. She's also, again, much like all these people that have massive PTSD, they all iterate in different ways. So the rest of season 1 introduces the Hashira, who are, so I didn't explain this earlier, but there are actually 8 ranks of the Demon Slayer Corps, and the rank that Tanjiro and Zenitsu are at the lowest rank, obviously.
Sure.
Hashira is the top of the 8 ranks. And we see, and of course, they're all a thing. There's the flame Hashira, the water Hashira, the stone Hashira, the mist Hashira. It's that thing. Kocho's thing is she's the insect. She is insect breathing because she's got the butterfly motif.
Okay.
Yep. And then for the rest of the season, it's the cleanup from this incident. Tanjiro and Nezuko are called into the Demon Slayer headquarters and to be put on trial for the whole, a Demon Slayer traveling with the demon thing. And they kind of, come to terms with the fact that, like, hey, maybe demons are good, and all of these kids who have been chasing demons, killing demons for years and years and years, and see them as the enemy, are being told, like, hey, actually this one's good, but we don't really know why, and don't worry, she won't hurt you because she has a bamboo muzzle. It's fine. But
it's fine,
and we
it's
also
fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So the rest of the season is mostly set up for the movie, which I mentioned is called Mugen Train. So the last couple episodes are Tanjiro and then also Zenitsu and Inosuke training and rehabilitating their bodies at the Demon Slayer headquarters. It's a weird, honestly, I mean, they're very light episodes. It was a very weird way to end the show or end the season, and I think it's because seasons don't air in Japan like they do here.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really consider things as seasons. Like, that's a whole story, and then really the last couple episodes, like, they air in arcs. So like this arc is the rehabilitation arc, and it literally just is a thread to set up the movie.
Yeah.
So whatever. But it is weird if you're watching this as a season, you're like, these are very light episodes to end with, but it's fine.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. They're training and getting better, yada yada yada. They're eventually called into their next mission on a train named Mugen, and there's a scene where Zenitsu's like, "We must appease the spirit. It's angry." Inosuke's like, "I must appease the spirit," and he starts headbutting the train. And Zenitsu's like, "What are you doing? That's a train," because he's never seen a train before because he's from the country.
Oh yeah.
Which is very funny. Yeah, so that's pretty much
movie,
that's Demon Slayer.
Is the movie on Netflix?
The movie is not on Netflix. It is on the Funimation app, and maybe it might be on Hulu, but I'd have to double check. I'm not entirely sure. So that's pretty much season 1 of Demon Slayer. In addition to the movie, there is a season 2. However, it's not finished yet. It's still airing. So I believe if you have Crunchyroll, you can see probably most of the simulcast episodes at the time of this recording. It might be done with on Crunchyroll. Funimation has most of the dub episodes up to date, I believe. Like, it's like halfway through season 2. But yeah, it's still relatively new. I will remind you that the manga was only ran for 4 years. I don't know if the anime will, go branch off from the manga. It's very possible. This is an incredibly popular show. It's done very, very, very well. So it could Game of Thrones it up. Who knows?
So if the movie followed this first season, does the second season pick up after the movie? Is that how that works?
The movie, it's not. The movie is a separate story.
Gotcha.
The movie picks up right after the season ends.
So it's not. It is not necessary.
It's the thing, and anime movies all do this, where like it is canon, but if you don't watch the movie, they never reference it.
It's
again.
It's an isolated event, but it's not going to follow like major story beats. It will probably develop some characters, but it's mostly an isolated story. If I had
we're not killing one of the 12 big bads on the train.
Well, I actually might. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie yet. So
okay.
So yeah, guys, that's Demon Slayer. That's gonna wrap it up. Any last thoughts, comments, questions?
I thought it was pretty cool.
I'm into it. Yeah.
It gave me a lot of the same vibes as Naruto, without a bunch of the fluff. It doesn't seem like there is the same Naruto / Dragon Ball Z 3 episodes of screaming or heavy breathing, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it definitely respects your time.
Yeah, I definitely. It seems cool. I really like the art, and that's typically a pretty big barrier of entry for me. Re-anime. I don't know that I'm going to jump in on it, but I'm more likely to jump in on this than most of the animes that we've talked about. So we'll see how bored I get in the next couple of months.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll just reiterate, in watching this, I really, really enjoyed this. I think this was objectively the best I've watched in a long time. Still, things like Evangelion have a special place in my heart only because I watched them so long ago and I've seen them so much now, but this is certainly up there. I like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I had a hard time kind of summing this up in just a few hours because there is a lot of meat on this bone. Like, there really isn't a lot of fluff. I think like this is a story that Naruto would tell in 80 episodes, and Demon Slayer tells it in 26, which is really good.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Debate This Cast, or on our website at debatethiscast.com. Once more, if you'd like to commission your own episode of Flavor Text, please consider checking out our Patreon page at patreon.com/debatethiscast. Subscribing at the $25 Master Debater tier for 3 months will get you eligible to tell us whatever wild source material you want us to regurgitate into a microphone for just about 3 hours. In addition, you'll immediately gain access to view our monthly movie nights, where we open up the voice chat in Discord and watch/goof on movies that tend to come up a lot in our regular episodes. Case in point, this past Sunday when this episode is coming out, we haven't done this yet as of recording, but by the time this episode comes out, we will have just watched 2016's Rampage starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah, we will.
I assume was a great time.
Insert review of that here.
We will not be doing that. It probably sucked. Until next time, I'm Andrew Henderson.
I'm Todd. Tanjiro, Fire Swords Only, Final Selection, Thomas.
I'm Matt. Dairy Slayer, the movie, Mugen Train, Cole.
And I'm Kyle. I'll save you all the Google search. You can, in fact, buy a bamboo muzzle. Harper.
We're saying thanks for debating with us, and if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.
The real question is a sexual thing, Kyle? Feels like a sexual thing.
Feels like
it isn't. It isn't not, Todd.
It isn't not.
Ew,
what you do with the bamboo muzzle is your own business.